Welcome to Season 4 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of Rockstar Burst and myself, Michael Woodland, as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, community matters, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. All right, good people. Once again, we're back at it again, and this week's show is brought to you by JM4 Tactical. Once again, if you didn't know, JM4 Tactical actually sponsors me in competition shooting, and they are the proud sponsors of this week's show. Head on over to jm4tactical.com and see what all they have as far as your holster needs. So they have that magnet holster that can go on any type of pants or jacket that you wear with the magnet assembly. And then you have the Relic series. So I actually use the Relic series in competition, and depending on what firearm I'm carrying with me that day, I have different versions of the holsters with the magnet. So head on over to jm4tactical.com and check out what all they have to offer you. Now, everybody already knows who the co-host is, but I have to let y'all know. I swear I'm about to get Rockstar fired. I be calling and texting all day, every day. She be begging me to stop turning off her phone. I think I might have found her work phone number to continue the harassment, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this. So without further ado, bringing forth the one, the only, the lovely Rockstar. What's going on with you there, Rockstar?
Oh, just getting through another week. I can't believe it's it's flown by, and I feel like I still need more hours in my day to get all the stuff done I need to get done. But it's been good. It's been productive. It's finally getting cold here. It's like in the 40s, so it's my extended fall, I think, is coming to an end.
Man, now one thing I can agree with you. Whatever happens, and I've always said this since I was maybe 15, 16 years old, after Halloween, it seems like the remainder of the year flies by. And it might have something to do with daylight savings time. I don't know. I never really thought about it, but I've always made the observation that after Halloween, it's like the days go by so much more faster. And then before you know it, we're in a new year.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And now it's daylight savings, so it gets dark out at like 4:30.
Yeah. So the funny part is now that everything is technology based, so we don't have to really set our clocks anymore. Right. So the computer, the cell phones, what everybody normally reference. But for me, my phone was having issues and the clock was not, automatically going to daylight savings time. So of course, I'm looking at the clock on my stove, the clock on in my vehicle, my watch, and I'm still operating on regular time. And I'm like, man, what's going on here, right? So I was all jacked up for about a day and a half, but I was like, only me. Yeah. So outside of that, how was your weekend?
Well, it wasn't great. The Jeep is in the shop, so that's kind of a bummer. I know it's getting some work done. It needs work. We're going into winter. It's like a 10-year-old vehicle, so it needs some TLC.
Okay,
But,
I got you on that one.
yeah.
One. Now, it isn't anything major like you hit a deer or anything like that.
No. Oh, I almost hit a deer. Not last night, but the night before. It's hunting season here, and the deer are out like crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, I can't afford to hit a deer right now because I'm not even driving my vehicle. So,
Oh man, yeah. I went to Atlanta a couple days ago, and of course, you're just driving on the interstate, and it was right before I got into like the main city. So it was after Buckhead, or yeah, Buckhead is after Buckhead, but before you get into the city limits of Atlanta. And next thing you know, I just saw a deer hopping across the interstate. and then a car hit it, and then it hit the wall and everything, and I just faded over, got in the other lane, and went around it all. Kind of sad moment for the deer, but you know how it go.
They're not the brightest animals.
Oh yeah. So you have any interesting plans coming up for Thanksgiving, since that's
It's
the
my
next
birthday on
holiday?
Thanksgiving.
What? So you actually you're gonna actually eat with family and then go out and party?
No,
Or
I'm gonna
what?
party the night before, and then I'm gonna eat all day on Thanksgiving.
Oh man, I got you on that. So for me, I don't know. It's just I really don't look at it. I don't know. I just look at the holidays totally different. For me, I'll probably just sit at the house and just cook and watch movies, unless, you know what I'm saying, some friends come over or something like that. But outside of that, I really don't do the festive stuff. I'll joke around and put stuff up on social media, but I don't go all out like with because honestly, I think Thanksgiving should be an everyday occurrence, you know? So like
True.
how you invite people to come to your house and eat and everything. I do that year round, you know, but I've always said if
Right.
somebody knocks on my door hungry, I would never turn them away also, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. But then again, you know, I've already expressed I really don't like anything after August holiday wise.
See,
That's
I've
just
always
me.
liked Thanksgiving just because it's around my birthday. So it's like I get to hang out with my friends and have birthday cake and then celebrate
Oh,
life and all that stuff. So
there you go. So now,
I am a big fan.
do you prefer birthday cake from the store, homemade, or ice cream cake?
I like cheesecake.
Cheesecake, okay, okay, I'm with you on that. I'm
And
not a
my
big
mom
fan of
makes me a
cheesecake.
cheesecake.
Nice,
Oh, my
nice.
mom makes me a cheesecake every year for my birthday.
Oh man, like
I am spoiled.
I'm more along the lines of go to Publix, get the yellow cake with the white icing, whatever design you want on
That's
it.
the best one.
Yeah,
It
like
has to be yellow cake with white icing. I would agree with that.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not big on chocolate, so I like vanilla over chocolate. So
Yeah, same here.
yeah.
I like chocolate. If I'm in the mood for it and it's really good, I like it, but it's not something I would pick a yellow cake almost always over a chocolate cake,
Oh, okay. Okay.
usually.
Well, I'm always going to choose cake over. I don't like pies either. I'm not a pie person.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
man,
saying? So I always
they're
choose the
okay.
cakes. Yeah,
Yeah, I
cupcakes
would pick
and
cake over pie for
yeah,
sure.
I'm the same boat. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and jump into a quick commercial break, and let's come on back and let's discuss that 2A decision that we started talking on last week. And even though it's not concluded in court yet, so let's put that out there so nobody thinks we thinking that it's over with. And then let's talk a little bit about the what's going on in court with Rittenhouse also. All right. So everybody, if you will, stay in your seats, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with Outdoor.Dynamics, and we're always here for you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
All right, good people. We're back at it again, and thank you for sitting through that commercial break. And one thing I forgot to do at the beginning of the intro of the show was to thank everybody who listens to us around the world. So I'm hoping somebody reaches out to us in Colombia, Brazil, wants us to come there and actually do one of a few episodes of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Let's take it on the road, but let's go on international front of it. So maybe somebody will put that in motion and we can make it happen. So, now, before we went to the commercial break, we did actually discuss a conversation we had last week talking about the 2A decision. And then when I was talking with you earlier in the week, we actually said that we was going to bring up the Rittenhouse conversation. So which one would you like to tackle first, Rittenhouse or the Supreme Court?
Let's finish up our conversation about the Supreme Court.
Okay. So now, what is your stance of what's going on since it's still in court and everybody's making predictions off of what they heard, what they read, and all the discussion amongst the justices and the representing lawyers?
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of things. So it's been, what, almost 10 years since the last time the court has heard a major 2A case, at least something like of this magnitude. So that's kind of interesting. The main argument is about New York and their concealed carry laws that are currently on the book. And everyone's, I guess, getting excited, maybe prematurely, that it seems like the justices are inclined to strike down parts of it, calling it unconstitutional, but there are some points of contention, mainly that they're open to discussing if that right to carry a firearm can be limited in any way in what they're calling like sensitive areas. So places that are like highly populated is one, and then there was one other thing. That was the big one though. Oh, I think it had to do like sporting events. So like, heavily populated areas and like, stadiums and things like that.
Yeah. You're talking about the argument that they was making about sensitive areas and populous areas, Whereas
Yeah,
the
yeah,
courthouse would be a sensitive area, and
right.
the baseball stadium would be a populous area, or a parade would
Yes,
be a populous area.
yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean, Justice Roberts and Kavanaugh are kind of I guess, the leading voices that people are sort of rallying behind and really hoping that we'll see some, forward progress for for the 2A community. Um, so New York basically passed their current framework back in 1913. So it's been on the books for quite some time, and I don't actually know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. The optimist in me is like, yeah, I think we've got a good chance of really making some progress and getting parts of this struck down and really calling it an unconstitutional law. But I don't know. It's so hard to tell right now. It's like the court has been fairly laissez-faire in some other rulings, so it'll be interesting to see if they actually kind of take a stand with this or if they just sort of, you know, keep the status quo.
Well, honestly, if it made it to the Supreme Court, it's going to change a lot of things. And I say that because we already know if it goes one way, right? Of course, people are going to grab onto it and run with it, do whatever they want to do for political reasons. If it goes the other way, people are going to do the same exact thing. So we already know that's going to happen. But you don't really hope that it gets changed to the fact that if this is easily changed, now it can alter everything else, like the freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be careful about that, or changing the 25th Amendment. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't know what 25th Amendment is, go ahead and look it up. But I'm thinking, and this is just me thinking, right? So we got to think about it. When they present it in the court, it has to go back to the forefathers. So we just can't look at the wording today and say this is what it meant. All right. So we have to come up with some type of structural base of what the founding fathers' intention of this amendment, was implying. So now when you do that and you look at history, and we already know a law is already made in respect to something already happening. So it's like a reaction to something that's already happened, so it doesn't happen again, or there's no misinterpretation of something like that happening again. So now we got to hit the history books. So you always hear people saying this within the 2A community, a small pocket of people, that the Second Amendment is biased against certain groups of people. Because you got to think, during that time period, slavery was still intact. And the police force was originally the slave catchers. So when the slaves were, escaping and trying to get away, you had those patrols of slave catchers in between the cities and everything. I think that's going to be an argument that's got to be presented also, because now if you take the history aspect out of it, now you're just doing what you're doing from a political standpoint for your personal reasons, and you have to weigh everything and look at how everything was shaped throughout history up until now. So even look at it from the standpoint of Martin Luther King Jr. When he was doing all the civil rights movement actions, he applied, I think it was 30 times, for a firearms permit in Atlanta, in Georgia. He got denied every time. But if somebody was doing some type of job, and if there was true equality, as we think it is, how come that wasn't even taken into consideration? So I think the history aspect is going to play into it, but the outcome of the decision of the Second Amendment based off of the arguments can lead to other things as well, throughout the political realm, which will open the door for possible true equality across the board. At least that's my stance, and everything I read, everything I saw, I was like, you got to know where it came from to know where you're going. So you have to talk about the history standpoint and what was his intentions, how was it used, and because we already know the federal government gives each state's its own leeway to come up with the laws within their boundaries as far as firearms. So the laws here in South Carolina are totally different than the laws up in Chicago, totally different from Rhode Island, right? But my driver's license is practically the same regardless of where I go. So it's one of those, I think it's going to be a touchy situation, but what direction they're going to go. That's the one thing we can't predict, like what direction they're going to go within the court system. How's the argument going to sway something? What are they going to overlook? Are they willing to touch a certain area? Because as soon as you start touching certain areas, it's going to open doors for that rabbit hole. And it's going to keep going. But then will it be like a stalemate decision, or will it be something concrete? Because I do think it's unfair for the state of New York to have a system whereas the only way you can get a permit to carry is if you're a millionaire. That's basically what it is. It isn't prove to me that you need it for self-defense. All right. Okay. Well, if I live in this area, you already know this is one of the roughest areas in the city. What more do I need to say? Right? Because that chance of me walking down the street, I got a higher % chance than you walking down the street in your neighborhood of something happening to me, right? Because we don't have the police presence and XYZ. You can argue that one all day, but like I said, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out in the end. So.
I know, me too, because I do feel like people have a right to protect themselves, like especially if you're in an area that is high crime. Why should the people who are not law-abiding citizens have a leg up on you?
Yeah, well, you also got to look at it too. Whenever we keep saying high crime in the news and amongst ourselves, we also have to keep an open mind to the reason why that area is probably high crime is because jobs are not available in that area. So we gotta weigh everything out, but we also have to make sound decisions. We just can't talk about something and negate everything else that's associated with it. So if this is a problem, what's the solution? All right, high crime area, let's bring more jobs in, keep people busy. Now their interests are being taken care of, families are being taken care of. Now what's next? So that system of putting your foot on somebody's neck, okay, we should have been over that many, many moons ago, but let's move forward. But how can we move forward, but keep everybody's interest in line versus it being a system of keeping a certain people down? Because that's all the class system is. When you look at the upper class, the middle class, the lower class, that's nothing more than, okay, I got to keep somebody down so I can have this class system. And then, that's where capitalism really manifests. So at least that's my take on it. Well, that's what I learned at school. But now, do you think this decision within the court system, it could possibly lead to universal concealed carry if they don't say concealed carry is unconstitutional?
I don't know. I mean, I don't even think Well, I don't think that there should even like you should just be able the whole reason of like having permits and all. I'm very anti-government everything. Like if you haven't gathered that, I'm like an anti-statist, I'm an anti-government program, I don't like the government. I want to make my own decisions and I don't want them in my life. So I mean, I don't agree with the fact that there's a lot of permits. I mean, I understand why there is because people are inherently stupid, so they need to sort of prove their worth on certain things. But by and large, I don't think that like a lot of these license programs that we have instated are necessary. And it's just another revenue generator for Uncle Sam and a way to keep people out of, you know, owning things or doing things. So yeah, so I mean, I think everybody should have a right to carry a gun wherever and whenever they want. And I think if we had better, you know, we're sending kids to public schools, why aren't they learning all of the things that are outlined in the Constitution? Why aren't they learning about free speech? Why aren't they learning about firearms? Why aren't they learning about how our government functions and operates? You know, like none of that's happening because that's not what it's about, right? Like
Right.
you go through school and it's an indoctrination system to get you to work for
The system.
a business and pay taxes for the rest of your life.
Right. So now let's back up a little bit. I won't say people are inherently stupid. I will actually say people don't know or they have a false belief of what they're capable of or what it is they're looking at. So let's look at firearms because we can go down a rabbit hole, many different avenues with this. But let's just look at firearms. How many people do you think, or how many people do you know think that if they just have a firearm, they can protect themselves? Right? Of course.
I mean, my circle is biased because most of the people that I hang out with that own firearms are actively training. So I'm a bad example.
Right. No, I'm just saying because, you know, my friend level is mixed. So, I mean, I can say the same thing, you know, like
right.
My gun friends, all of us do this week in, week out. We go to training depending on what circle of friends I'm hanging out with. But then I also have another group of friends that have the firearm at home, ride with it in the vehicle, but they don't advertise that, hey, I have this, but I have it just in case. But at the same time, a lot of those people, my friends, think that just because they have a firearm, they can pull it out and it's going to deter the threat, or they can magically just do whatever they think they can do with that firearm. Right. So obviously the person that's training is going to be a little bit more conditioned to handle that situation. But just talking with a lot of people, I'm like, you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else because, I mean, I do have some friends that I honestly think if something was to happen, now they're going to close their eyes and just spray and pray and just go anywhere. Right. And I mean, like, honestly, think about it, you know? So the system in South Carolina that in order to get your CWP, you have to sit through like a 6-hour class, right? So you're going over the laws and then the one portion at the end or at the beginning, depending on the instructor, you do the shooting proficiency test. And a lot of instructors don't take that serious, you know? And one thing, South Carolina, they keep changing it, right? So one point they say, okay, this is a defined test that you're going to do it like this, right? Distances and time. Now it's up to the instructor. You know, so it varies, but like I said, a lot of instructors don't take it serious. Now, at the time when the pandemic first started out, there was instructors just popping up out of the blue. And of course, when this takes place, it's almost like the hustle. People only doing it because they're only regurgitating what they heard somebody else say, or they go on YouTube and, okay, this is easier than what it is. But when you sit down and really break it down, right, how many of those instructors actually understand there's 3 ways to teach somebody, but somebody is going to be better at one of the 3 ways of comprehension. Now, you as an instructor, you have to figure out how you're going to make that connection, because you could sit there all day and say the 4 firearm safety rules are, but if the person don't get it, now you got to get creative to make them understand it, so you're reaching your point and they're reaching their point of understanding. So I'm appreciative of what South Carolina has in place, and it's kind of reassuring, even if you were to see somebody walking around in open configuration in South Carolina. But in South Carolina, you can open carry, but you have to have your CWP. And for that to take place, that actually says, oh, you went through a 6-hour block of training. I don't know the validity of the instructor you went through, because you're not wearing a shirt that says, hey, I went to this instructor, right? But it's almost reassuring that, okay, you went through some form of training. But did it stop there, or did you continue it, or whatever the case may be, And it's just one of those type things. So now if they actually say, off of what you said, if they actually say, okay, we're going to get rid of states imposing you to go to a class or whatever, now how many people will go to training to get a possible CWP or stay concurrent with their skill set? So it's like I said, it's going to bounce all over the place, but now we got to formulate a system that will keep everybody in check and in line, so we can progress forward, and actions that are being used can't be used against the 2A community for political reasons. Because I do honestly believe people who are actively involved within the 2A community are doing the right thing. And it's an example that's not being used with the media or on the political front.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that that's the intentional. But then at the same time, it's like you're doing, that's what drives me nuts, right? You can do everything right and it still doesn't count, right?
Yes.
So then it's like, yeah, it's frustrating.
It is. It really is. It really is. But like I said, we can beat that up all day and everybody go down that rabbit hole. But I honestly believe with the decision that the Supreme Court will make, it has to go back to a history standpoint. Why were certain things placed in accordance with the law, according to what the Second Amendment is actually saying? And then when those questions get answered, I think, like I said, it's going to open up other doors. And we can talk about those other doors when we're not recording.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting case. I would like to see these restrictions rolled back. I would like to give more power back to the individual and let them feel that they're able to protect themselves. And I think it's interesting, right? Because there's this argument of, is the Second Amendment in place to protect or to allow you to protect yourself from the government or from other people, or for both, right? And I think that's an interesting lens to view it through.
Okay. I agree with that one. So, but now we just have to play the hurry up and wait game and see what comes out next before they actually make their decision. Did you actually come across the time frame when they should be wrapping this up and before they go to like their recess period before they make the decision? Because they're not going to make it like right away. It's going to be,
they're not.
It's going to be a couple months.
A ruling is expected by summer of 2022.
Okay.
So we got time. We're gonna be hurrying up and waiting for a while.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a delicate matter, so you really don't want to rush the
Absolutely.
process, but
Right.
you do want a sound decision that's well thought out, and they at least touched every avenue they could within reason to go forward, regardless of what decision was made.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's go ahead and let's dance around the Rittenhouse trial. So what do you think about that? What did you come up with? What did you find? Because I really didn't research anything on Rittenhouse other than what I hear when my alarm goes off, because I get like a news blast, and then a couple of the news shows that I listen to when I'm driving, and I hear them talk about it. And then I think I did like one or two YouTube searches off of, I saw another influencer talking about it. So I just went back to see what everybody was talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So I was living up in Minnesota when that all happened, but it happened in Kenosha, which is like an hour south of where I live now. And actually my tenants that were living in my property at the time were from there, and the one guy's dad owned a shop that was kind of like on the strip of all the places that were being vandalized. And yeah, so it was like crazy. So it was he was down there back and forth and trying to make sure like the family business was still intact, and it was just like a very strange and surreal situation. I posted something on Facebook about it in this group that I'm in the other day, and I was like, well, one, I thought it was really interesting how the FBI was taking footage of the event. I don't like
Really?
any of the alphabet agencies, but I'm like, really? You were all just, had your drones out taking video of what was happening, but you didn't do anything to intervene. You're just collecting footage. Like, that's weird. I don't really like when the government spies on people. And like,
Well,
if you're in
I
a
would,
situation,
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that if they was actually taking footage, could that be used later on to say, okay, you destroyed this property, you vandalized this, you stole this,
right?
and they come back and
Yeah,
use that? Of course, they're going to use it for training purposes within their own community. But
right.
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like why weren't they? If like, are you really just there shooting film? Like, why aren't you doing something else? Like, why aren't you? I don't know. All those agencies are all bad news bears, in my opinion, but that's a whole other tangent to go down.
Mm.
um, and then I thought it was interesting that they have made such a big deal about this case. I think that's really interesting. There were multiple shootings and riots and people that were shot and killed last summer in various cities across the US. And it's why is this one such a hot button story? I also think that there's like, well, one of the things that I kept saying, they're like, well, he shouldn't have even have been there. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's like a moot point because he was there. So like now that we have this footage and we're hearing the testimony, what do we do about that? Like, yes, he shouldn't have been there. Like if I had a 17-year-old child, I would not be dropping them off in harm's way. That just is strange, and like it's a strange parenting tactics, in my opinion. I don't know why you would bring your kid up to do something like that, especially when they're underage. So that was that. There's just a lot of things that are interesting that don't quite add up for me about the case, like on a higher level. But I can go more in detail on some other stuff if you want.
Well, now going into it, the whole situation of what took place in that area, I will say, I've always said this, and I'm always going to say this. There are a lot of fake patriots out there. And I think a lot of people are just ready to get riled up for no reason without even thinking about the situation. It's just a reason to do something. I mean, even like if something happens within a city and people start looting or whatever, obviously people are going to do whatever for their personal needs or for their protection. And then it just spirals out of control after that. So was his actions that of a fake patriot, or was it something of him doing something that is considered being a savior of such? The one thing in the court case, the guy who he shot when they was trying to make him out to be somebody who purposely went down there to kill somebody, the guy did actually state in court he pointed the firearm at him, which kind of vindicated him from being a murder. So that
Right.
is self-defense.
That's
right?
that's right. Textbook, right?
Yeah, correct. So you can't dispute that one. Now,
Right.
even though that was determined, he's not off the hook yet.
Right.
Right. So now he's off the hook from, I think they said he was going to possibly look at a life sentence if he was convicted of this. So I think the life sentence is off the table now.
Yeah.
Now you still have to deal with the fact of him being underage.
Right.
Right. And I think
And that's a
everything,
misdemeanor.
yeah, it's a misdemeanor, but by him being underage, that misdemeanor can cause him to lose his gun rights also. So,
Yeah.
or the ability to own a firearm moving forward. Right. Unless they put something in there like he got to do something, or, whatever the case may be. Now, if that's the case, if he happens to lose his rights to own a firearm, that takes military out the question. So now you can't even go into the military because you can't shoot a firearm. You can't be a police officer because you can't own a firearm. Now, but like I said, other doors are going to open for him also.
Mhm.
Now, will somebody actually come forth and try to make a movie off of this? Did it have that much impact that it's movie worthy? Right? Because now if they go to get a story, and especially with the way the court case went, when people go to talk to him, they're going to flash money at him. Right? If he goes on Good Morning America, I guarantee you, he got paid at least $10,000 to $15,000 to appear on Good Morning America. Local news sources, they're going to throw cash at him. Everybody's going to throw cash at him now. So, and like I said, that's another door that can possibly open. But him profiting off of a tragedy, okay, there's an opportunity, but he has to look out for himself. So he's just taking advantage of the situation. You can't hold that against him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But everything else that went down, I honestly believe if he was convicted, this case would have been used in the ploy by the anti-gun organizations to try to get a foothold of getting rid of firearms in general.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that would have been a nail in a coffin. You just got people running amok, doing whatever, underage. And look, this is what we have. And this is an American citizen, XYZ. Like I said, they could just go down that rabbit hole also. But like I said, it would have been used against the gun community. So
yeah, it's interesting too how it was. I feel like both sides of the people who were out that night were not doing the best things, right? Like the three guys that were shot by Rittenhouse. I mean, two of them were. A lot of them were like good people. Not that you deserve to be shot and killed because you're a bad person, but it's like, okay. But then it was like literally, it was like a game of cops and robbers, right? You're like, this is really what we're doing right now. You guys are gonna go run amok through the streets, and
there was no communication.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a stupid situation.
Yeah, there was no communication. You didn't know who was who.
Right.
If you saw somebody doing something that didn't, they're just going pretty much off of body language. That's pretty much what it all comes down to. And you got to think about it. If somebody goes into an area they're not familiar with, or they don't know anybody, or the dangerous situation that's present, they're going to react a different way. But then human nature is going to take over for the other side. And they're going to look at, oh, that's prey right there. Let's go eat.
Right. Yeah.
So it was just pandemonium. But one thing the cops did, they pushed all that to one central area. And of course, they stayed on the sidelines and when something happened, because with the Rittenhouse, they didn't arrest him then. What was it, like the next day or 2 days later? Something like that.
Yeah. Or did he turn himself in? I can't remember.
I think when he went home, I can't remember. Because I thought he had to turn himself in, because I want to say that's what he said. So it was either the next day or 2 days later. I can't remember the time frame. you know. But either way, did he do the right thing, or however you want to look at it, you know? But his face was on the news, and that's probably the main reason why he turned himself in, because they did
Right.
publicize his face on the news, and they was trying to make him out to be the bad guy and the murderer and everything like that.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I have a question about is you had no business being there.
Well,
Right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you had no business being there. You came from another state,
Out of
another
state.
city to
Right.
come to this environment. And I
Yeah.
think it was, they said somebody made a phone call, said they knew some people, they needed people, word got out, and then people
So
flooded in.
I think someone from his family is from Kenosha, which is how he like had ties there, but it's like he didn't live there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I get the whole like, oh, like
Yeah.
these are my people and I'm trying to help, but I'm like, are you really the person that should come in to be helping? Like you're a kid,
Yeah.
you know?
But you know, strength is in numbers. And even
Yeah.
think about it when let's say the Civil War, not even the Civil War, the British War, right? They was taking men at the age of what, 14, 15, you know, because now it's numbers. Hey, we need people. You know how to pull a trigger? You can look at that. Oh, come on, you coming with us. You
Right.
know, same thing. But I think the situation would have been different if he lived there and he was protecting his family's business or
Right.
property. You
Yeah.
know, I think that would have been looked at totally different, because now it's okay, we all live here, we all work here, this is our livelihood, this is all we have.
Right.
Family business for 30, 40 years, 50, 100 years, whatever it could have been. And I think that situation would have been totally different. And the way it would have been looked at would have shaped different in the outcome, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're like, you're protecting your community. You're not just like coming in as hired help from wherever.
Yeah. So, but it's a fortunate thing that the guy who he shot did tell the truth. He came out, told the truth. And that was a turning point in the case, you know?
Yeah.
And the way they was trying to paint the picture, I think they was actually looking, okay, I hope they don't ask certain questions, this, that, or another. Because you know they was going to use the video, and the video kind of paints that picture like, okay, you just run the streets amok, okay? But the one thing that video wasn't showing was he was running for help. And then all of a sudden he's getting attacked and almost he
Right.
got hit with a skateboard, or a
The skateboard, yeah.
swung on him or something like that. So
And
I was like,
honestly, I do think that if they would have disarmed him, they would have shot him and killed him. I think if he would have, you know what I mean? Like if they would have gotten his gun away from him, I don't think they would have let him go.
no, yeah, that was a mob mentality right there. And
Exactly.
yeah, you're not surviving a mob mentality when stuff got chaotic like that, because
No.
people are just doing whatever to stop their version of a perceived threat. And that's death. You know, it's not, oh, we're just going to wound you and let you lay right here and then somebody help you out. No, they go on to the next person after they get finished with you. So, and like I said, that's pretty scary when you look at it like that, when there's no clear definition of who's doing what, and it's just people just running around doing whatever, and there's a bunch of shouting and people are just reacting just because.
Right.
You know, so that's pretty scary. So you would have thought that once that guy admitted that, the case would have been like, okay, we're going to stop
Over.
this, you know, and this is how we're going to rule on this, or we're going to say, come up with whatever fines or whatever based off of this, and this right here is no longer relevant. But they're still going forward with it, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it ended today. Like they
Okay.
closed the rest of the case.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah. So
I think the defense is going to call one more witness, but we'll see what happens.
that's a reach now. They're just reaching there. All right, we're going for the Hail
Yeah, because
Mary.
in my opinion, it's kind of over, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, okay, but I think the case has been made.
Yeah. So now will they take it along the route of, are the police going to be held accountable? Other people going to be held accountable for what took place in that area?
Right.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna dig into it now since you said it's over with, and see what actually came of it. So
Yeah, the
yeah.
jury's on break until Monday. They reconvene on Monday. So
Okay. Yeah, this will be
we'll see
interesting.
what
Also.
happens.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into another commercial break. And when we come back, I did my favorite match of the year, which is a Toys for Tots match that takes place here in Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm going to bring forth one of my buddies, Ryan Lee, who is also a competition shooter and instructor within the Columbia, South Carolina area. And we're going to talk about the match and how was the match, how was the stage, and the whole environment. And I think we might be shooting on the same squad. So you won't hear the perspective of, oh, my squad did this or this. If we're on the same squad, you'll hear us going back and forth of what each other done and why. Because we actually sit back and talk about stage plans when we're on that same squad. So we're going to go ahead and dive into that. But before we do that, if you will, if this is your first time listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast and you want to find out more about M-W Tactical, please look me up on YouTube and Facebook by looking up M-W Tactical. And if you head on over to Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter and look up at M_W Tactical, you can also see what we're putting out for our social media information on those platforms. And then you can also visit www.m-wtactical.com and see where we're going and what we have coming up next. And if you want to get in touch with Rockstar, you can do so at?
You can find me on Instagram at rockstarburst, BERST. I'm most active on there. I shouldn't post anything in my stories today. I've been the last couple of I've been quiet. I've been really busy. You can message me things or, send me funny memes. I always appreciate that. But I hang out on Instagram the most. So find me on there.
That's it right there. And then, of course, I did put up the video with Phil Collins in the air of the night, like I said I would once the malfunction stopped. And I tagged you in, well, actually, I sent you the video through text message.
I laughed. I was excited.
Yeah, I was happy that day happened like that. So I'm actually going to start putting up those videos probably here in the next day or two also. But and I'm gonna do something different with the Toys for Tots match also. So you have any last closing words you want to say to the good people before we take off?
No, just enjoy the rest of your week and stay up on the current events. There's a lot going on in the world. It feels like it's going a million miles an hour, but we'll chat with you next time.
That's it right there. So if you will, stay in your seats, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made in an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with outdoor.dynamics. And we're always here for you, happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, good people, we're back at it again. And as I stated to you before the commercial break, I was going to bring somebody who is my buddy, who I shot with before he had to get deployed over to, well, over the pond, as we will say. And we had good momentum going, and then he had to leave. And then I was by myself. I didn't have nobody I could bounce ideas off of, but he came back. He's back into the groove of things, and we actually squatted together and shot the Toys for Tots match that happens every year here at Mid Carolina Rifle Club in Columbia, South Carolina. So without further ado, I want to welcome back my buddy, Ryan Lee, to the M-W Tactical Podcast. What's going on with you there, Ryan?
Hey, what's happening, Michael? Good seeing you again.
Hey, yeah, it's always a pleasure to see you and be in your company, man.
Absolutely, brother.
That's how we do it. So the last time we had you onto the show, like I said, you was the one that was pretty much doing the, decision making far as coaching and teaching me far as what USPSA is. And all of a sudden you left. So you had to go do your job, military related, of course. And in your absence, like I said, I just started linking up with everybody. So, of course, Dave, he came and did the co-hosting on the podcast last season. And then I was traveling around with Tom Powers for a little bit while he was chasing Grandmaster. And of course, I've always linked up with the Taco Squad. So I'm always going to be with that party of people. And, did a couple training sessions with Wally. Like I said, I was all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I noticed that while I was gone. Of course, I was overseas, but whenever I got a chance, I try to jump onto the podcast and, see you on social media and everything. I saw, man, you're jumping around, shooting section championships and nationals, and just kind of spreading around, getting a wealth of experience in your back pocket to kind of start learning and progressing with.
Oh yeah, man. So that's what the game is about. It's about learning and pushing yourself further, But speaking of pushing ourselves further, we actually did the Toys for Tots match, and we was on the same squad with each other. And of course, you know, like when I was talking to a couple people, a lot of people don't understand the sport of shooting, you know, and I was just like, you know, I was telling somebody that I was bringing you onto the podcast, and it was like, well, who's going to win between you and him? And I was like, it's not like that. He's shooting a different division, but at the same time, even if we were shooting against each other as far as point wise and everything, we still help each other out with, okay, have you thought about this, or have you considered this? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
absolutely, man. So don't get me wrong. I'm a very competitive guy. I enjoy the competition, and of course, just like every time we shoot together, and among the taco squad and everybody, the trash talk is going to go around. But
Right.
even if we are in the same division, like I've shot, in the same division with the guys several times, and we're coaching each other. And that's one of the things I love about the sport is we each want to see the other succeed. So
Right.
even though we're competing head to head, I'm still going to help coach you. I'm still going to see you when I come off the stage. If I shoot before you, hey, watch out for this. This kind of tripped me up.
Right.
Just like we did before the match and all during the match, we walked through and stage planned together. Me, you, the leader of Taco Squad, I'm not going to bring his name onto the show, but kind of bouncing ideas off. What's the best way to shoot this? Would I save time here? And just kind of be a sounding board. And that's, like I said, that's one of the things I really love about the sport is while it is a competition, it's everybody's there to help each other succeed.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about. It's all about us having fun and learning from each other, but pushing each other to that next level.
Right.
So like I said, it's always a pleasure to shoot with you, and we need to get that momentum going back again, but I know it's going to be hard for you for at least a couple years because you're about to be a daddy a second time.
A second time, yep. I have
I
actually have a little boy on the way. He's coming in January, or actually coming February.
Oh man,
So,
should have been
so
January. January's my month, so his birthday should have been January 7th. So that's what it is.
Yes. So at least the next few months going to be tied up. Won't be able to shoot as many. Which, I honestly, since getting back from overseas, I haven't been able to shoot as much because, as you remember, before I left, man, we were shooting a match every weekend, sometimes two a weekend. We were catching the outlaw matches at the indoor ranges in Columbia during the week, and
right.
it was a full-time shooting schedule. And since getting back, my civilian career has progressed a little bit. I've actually started doing some instructing on the weekends as well as being a dad. So it can't shoot as much as we used to. Kind of got pulled away from that, but every time we get a chance, get to link up and stay out there. But I can definitely tell the difference. That is something that's wild is when you're shooting a match every weekend and you're in that full-time match schedule, how you never really develop any rust because even if you're dry firing, you're doing some live fire, there's difference in that and actually shooting a match. Correct. And I can tell a large difference going from, shooting 2 or 3 matches a week to shooting one match every, 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. And I've always equated shooting to being one of those type skills. It's just like a foreign language. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I've always looked at it from that standpoint.
And you'll still retain your basics in it. Mm-hmm. But just keeping, that knife's not going to stay sharp. Can you cut with it? Yeah, you might have to stroke it a few more times, but it's it definitely dulls over time.
Right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this Toys for Tots match. So for those who are unaware of what the Toys for Tots match is here at Mid Carolina Rifle Club in Columbia, South Carolina, it's a 2-day memorial match for past veterans. And there was 2 members of the club who they put this match on in honor of them, who were military veterans. And this right here is the match that brings a lot of people out. It's almost, I would almost say it is my favorite match of the year, but I can't say it's in line with a sectional or a state match because not that many people come out.
It's not far behind it though.
No,
if you really look at it, it's not.
It really isn't because this year it was 118 participants in it. And as this recording is going on, the second day match is still in process right now. So they should be wrapping up here in about another 30 minutes to an hour. But when you're looking at it from that standpoint, it's a fun match. And this is the first year, whereas a couple stages were borderline outlaw in a sense of speaking.
Yeah, they were right close to the line on a couple of them, but
Yeah.
that's one thing I enjoy about it. So the Toys for Tots match every year, you're not just going to get your standard, typical, monthly local club stages. They go out all out. They usually build new props and they bring a lot of stuff in. They open up a seventh bay for shooting, and it's like I said, I really enjoy the Toys for Tots match every year. Something I look forward to.
Yeah. So like I said, the members, Miss Linda, and the staff of people who actually helped put that together this year. Like I said, we really do appreciate the efforts that everybody put in to make another great match for this Memorial Toys for Tots match. I didn't get the opportunity to help out this year as I did last year because I had some other stuff going on, and busy going around traveling and everything. But we'll see what takes place next year. But looking at the results from yesterday, Dave Lyle, the co-host from last season, actually is holding first place as of now until those results come out.
Shocker, right?
Nah, I wasn't surprised about that.
Not at all.
Yeah, Dave is really fast though. Dave is like super fast.
He absolutely is. So it's pretty much well known that if Dave is at a match anywhere here in the state that you travel to, if Dave's in it, he's in contention to win open and overall at just about every match he's going to step to at a local level around here. And he also does well, at the state and sectional level as well. But pretty much know when I sign up with Dave, I'm be seeing his name up there at the top of the leaderboard.
Always. I know that like I said, when you turn around and you look at him, I want to actually see him shoot with like people like JJ Rakaza, Casey Yasubio, people of that stature on a weekly basis. And I think that would be very interesting because I think you just need somebody to push you, and that caliber of shooting will actually push him to that next level instead of, him just looking for something to push himself within a stage. I think he needs somebody physically there to help push him to that next
Absolutely.
level.
So I've noticed that when he shoots with somebody like Tom Powers, when him and Tom Powers shoot together, they each push each other to a higher standard. Competition always breeds better results, and that's why I always try to go find out whatever division I'm shooting, find somebody that's above my skill level and watch them. And I mean, for several years it's been Dave. I watch his movement, and right now that's one thing I watch his videos and I'm picking up from him is his movement and how he's preparing before he leaves position, and then as he's coming into it to leave out of that to the next one. And just some small stuff he does that really shaves time off that I want to kind of start working on now.
Well, I mean, you had a couple stages yesterday, whereas like when we were sitting when I sit there and look at a stage, I try to calculate how fast I can actually do a stage. And the one stage I said I can probably do it around 20 seconds. I actually did it in 25, but you did that same stage in like 17 seconds.
Yeah, so that was stage 2. That was the second stage. Yeah, I remember that one. So I really did. So yesterday I came on first 3 or 4 stages, just had a rough time. I had something going on in my personal life, and I just wasn't there mentally. And that kind of goes to attest to how big the mental game is a part of this sport. And then right around stage 2, that's when I kind of locked in. Is like, hey, it's I'm falling behind. I need to start shooting to my abilities. And right when I shot that stage, that 17-second stage, I was like, okay, I'm locked in. I just got to finish out strong, and ended up doing it. Last 3 stages were really great stages for me.
Right.
And actually, the stage after that one, stage 3, I had the second place overall. Actually, third place overall. I'm right behind Dave, even though I shot it a second quicker than Dave. That major power factor beat me out on it, but that was my best stage of the day by far.
Oh yeah. So as we already stated beforehand, this is overall. Dave is in holding down first spot as of right now, and then Ryan Lee, yourself, you're holding down 18th place overall.
Right.
And right now I'm in 28th place overall. And this is a mixture between limited, single stack, PCC, carry optics, open, revolver. You know what I'm
Right. So
saying?
it's it's the thing that people always argue about. It's like, well, you're not shooting against everybody at the match. You're only shooting against people in your division. I was like, you can say that as much as you want, but every single
Yeah.
person that shoots, they're going to go look at those overall results and see how they're stacking up.
Actually, I don't do that. This is the first time I've done that. Like,
Really?
yeah. Every time, like when I get finished shooting, first thing I do is I open it up and I go straight to limited. And unless like when we get finished shooting and then whatever restaurant we go to after the fact, if somebody says to me like overall you did this, I won't look at it. I just go straight to limited.
So that's something that comes from my days being in production. So as you know, I shot production. When I first came into the sport, I shot limited minor for the first match or two, and then really realized the point differential and what it does, major versus minor scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm getting out of limited minor. And so I went over to production. I really fell in love with production. And when I first started, there was a high level of competition at a local match. You know, you'd be shooting against 10 to 15 other production shooters. And since CAE Optics and PCC has come along, that's just kind of the divisions has struggled a lot. And it was pretty normal for me to go to a match and be myself and one, maybe two other people shooting production. So I'd always kind of have to compare myself overall against the people that I knew were good shooters to kind of see where I was at.
So now you just made a change over to CAE Optics. So this is what, your second or third match shooting CAE Optics from production?
Yeah, this is my third match. So I actually switched over last month. And actually Dave Lyle hit him and Pop's Quest from over on YouTube was talking to both of those guys over at the North Carolina section, the Carolina Classic. And they've been hounding me for a while, you know, load up my mag, shoot something with a dot on it. So Dave let me borrow his he actually the Canic that I shoot, he had a Canic TP9 SFX with a Vortex on it, and he gave it to me and said, man, go load them up and have fun. And so I tried it out. I shot Palmetto Gun Club down in Charleston about a month ago, and actually my first CAE Optics match, I ended up winning CAE Optics. Turned around the following weekend and shot the MCRC monthly match, and came in third to Pop's Quest, and Bruno beat me out in second place. But my dot, okay, so the dot died on the first stage and really set me back. I come back from that, and then after that second match, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of hooked. So I went ahead and had the guys over at Amex Guns. They went ahead and milled my slide, and I bought me a Seymour and slapped on top. And I think I'm here to stay in CAE Optics for a while, and just to see how fast I can go.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna dibble in CAE Optics a little bit, and it's only for theory-based shooting that I came up with, me and a couple other people who I had conversations with, thinking that if you do CAE Optics, it will make you a better shooter on iron sights because you're looking at the red dot. And of course, the concept of shooting is different between the two. So iron sights, you're focusing on the red dot. Focusing on the front sight post, but CAE Optics, you're focusing on the target versus the red dot. You know?
Right. That's a big transition, and that's something. So in my dry fire with the dot, of course I look at the target. I'm always target focused. But in a match, you just kind of go back to muscle memory, and that's a thing that I don't think a lot of people take seriously when they start buying guns with red dots on. Not only competitive shooters, but regular everyday citizens. Because we are going to where the technology has picked up to the point where you're going to see a majority of pistols having red dots on them. I know law enforcement's going to it, the military's going to it. But you teach yourself when you start shooting. I mean, you've got 10, 20 years of teaching yourself to focus on the front sight post. Your eyes can only focus on one plane at a time.
Right.
And you teach it, and you build in this muscle memory to every time that you draw and present, that your focus is on your front sight post. And you switch over to CAE Optics, and you have to unlearn all of those years of focusing on that front sight post and going to the target. And then I've noticed in stressful situations or really hard sections of different stages that I would find myself reverting back to looking at the dot. So that's something as an area of weakness that I identified from this Toys for Tots match that I need to kind of work on, is make sure I'm staying target focused and practice and put in the time and work that it takes to really get that down to a degree where it's not an issue.
Right. Now, one thing I did pick up from the Toys for Tots match that I've been wanting to work on is my entry and exit into positions. But a few weeks ago, I did some training with Outdoor Dynamics, and I tweaked my knee a little bit. So my knee was swollen for a little bit. And I'm just now coming off of that injury, so I was kind of babying it a little bit yesterday. Like,
I've noticed yesterday in your shooting that you were you weren't as aggressive into some positions as I've seen you be in the past.
correct. And that's what it was. It was just, I was just favoring my knee, running with this new knee brace that I got on. It kind of felt funny for me. So I got to get used to it instead of like running around before the match. I didn't want to chance anything with running around before the match and hurting myself more. So I just decided to take it easy and then take it easier at the match, but not really push myself either. But it's coming. It is coming. Yeah. So what was your favorite stage at the match?
My favorite stage, it's probably going to be stage 2.
Okay.
Actually, correction, stage 3. Stage 3, where you start with the 4 standing steel and turn. It's the one with the swinger on it.
Okay.
So that's more my style. So I really like the movement. That's where I can really shine. I can, I'm a tall guy like you. It takes me a little while to get up to speed, but once I turn, I can stride out and get to moving and shooting at the same time. It's really, that's my comfort zone. That's where I started in 3-gun, just kind of moving and shooting, and that kind of combines some slow down, take your time, and then where you can kind of just turn the corner and just let it fly.
I got you on that one. I want to say I had 2 favorite stages at the match. I forgot which bay it was, but it was the one with the door where you had to push the door down.
Stage 4. Yep, that's the
Okay.
stage we ended on. That was a fun one too. It was a toss up between 3 and 4 for me, which were my 2 best stages. But I like that one a lot as well.
Yeah. And then the other one that I like, and it was a simple stage, but I've always said a simple stage can creep up on you and surprise you, and your performance won't be what you thought it was going to be. And that was the one whereas you had to start with your hands on the mark, go around the barrier to get your firearm, and then come back to the shooting area.
Yeah, so that was stage 2. Yep,
Yeah.
that was Battle of Chapultepec, something like that.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was a little outside. That's outside the normal where you start so far away from your pistol. So
Right.
yeah, I enjoyed that one as well. So it made you think about a couple things.
Oh yeah. So, but on our squad, I want to say I seen it ran 4 different ways.
Yep.
And that's one thing I do like about when it comes to stage planning, because if you can actually have multiple options to run an effective stage plan, that is a good stage design, and it was, you would think it would have been simple, but I even caught myself, even when I was doing the air rifling of doing the whole planning process. I was like, no, I need to take this target first, because if I don't take this target first, it's going to mess me up on my exit, because my plan was to start on the far right, because I came in on the left port. And for those of you who are looking at this on YouTube, we're going to go ahead and put up those written stage briefs so you can actually see what we're talking about. And I was aiming at the far right one first, right? Instead of taking the 2, because you either had the choice to take 2 on the left or the right at the very back of the stage.
Right.
But what I decided to do was take that 1, right, to alleviate taking those 2 shots right there. Time wise, it probably would have been the same thing, but whatever I was thinking of at that time, it just made more sense for me to take one of them out now, and then at the same time start backing up on the exit on those 2 targets. Of course, when I was backing up, I already realized my steps wasn't big enough. So, but of course, 2 steps later, I'm already back at the beginning or the rear end of the stage, which allowed me to take that 1 far shot now that I left open, and then the other 6 in the back. So, but that video will be coming up here pretty soon.
Right. Yeah. So actually, I really enjoy stages like that, where you can shoot it 4 or 5 different ways and see that each has its own pros and cons. So it's like I said, we saw about 4 different stage plans just within our squad of 8 people.
Right.
And then I start looking on Facebook at some of the guys that shot the match, Dave and several other people, and see 2 or 3 different stage plans of ways that I hadn't seen shot or thought about to shoot it. And it's such a simple stage, but it can be, it can be shot so many different ways. And those are always a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I love those little stages like that, because when you think you got the better one, not to say that I thought I had the better stage plan, but when I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, okay, I think this is the more effective way to run this. And I don't see any other way that you can capitalize on it. Well, then I saw somebody with PCC doing it. Of course, that's going to be a different plan altogether.
Right.
But then I saw an open shooter shoot it, like a high caliber open shooter. And I was like, okay, I didn't see that one either, but I'm not going to change it, because obviously when you change your plan at the last minute, you're always going to have a snafu when it's performance time.
Every single time. That's one of the hardest things I had to get out of when I first began competitive shooting is I go in, I get a stage plan, I get it locked in, try to burn into my memory.
Right.
I had to be sitting there going over and over, as I got closer and closer to my shooting order. And then I would see somebody else run it. I'm like, that makes so much more sense. And as I got to the shooting line, so I'm going to switch to that. And that just causes you to have to think a lot more while you're in the stage. And usually 9 times out of 10, it's going to make you screw up, because you're going to try to shoot your original plan and the new plan you saw. And you're just going to get lost in it. So that's another thing. Like I said, that's the mental game, man. That's where I really started taking leaps and bounds ahead in competitive shooting, is when I started working on my mental game. I think it's a very, very underrated part of competitive shooting. Yeah, you have to be able to have the skills to move and get in and out of position and be able to shoot accurately and quickly. But the mental game, I think, is one of the biggest.
Oh yeah, yeah. Who was that said that to me? Was it Julie Galab or Travis Tomasi? It was one of those two when I was talking with them about shooting. And the way they broke it down was 90% of shooting is mental, right? 5% is your movement. Now, the other 5% is your execution and that trigger squeeze.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I like how that was broken down like that, because if you're having a crappy day, because I would have honestly thought like, okay, 90% of it is performance, but when you're actually looking at it from a scientific way, it's reversed. You know what I'm saying? Whereas 90% of it is thinking,
So that's a big thing that I've got from listening to Steve Anderson as well.
Right.
Is that a lot of people think that, well, if I'm in a stage and I'm concentrating, then I'm locked in. But that's not really the case. You want to be concentrating in your stage planning period. You want to be concentrating and shutting off all outside influence as you're getting up to the start line and shooting the stage in your head, so that you've already built all the muscle memory as far as the shooting aspect, as far as the movement aspect. And in a stage, my best stages, I don't really feel like I was really fast on them, but I don't feel like I was thinking during the stage. I lock it in, I turn my body on autopilot, beep goes off, and I react.
Right.
And I find that if I'm trying to concentrate in the stage, that generally I end up going too quickly, going too slowly. And it's just not as fluid as it is if I really lock that in and just let my body react and shoot the course like I've built it to do.
Right. Well, I call Wally my mentor, and he's always said, if you shoot a stage and you got all alphas, you're going too slow.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you need to push it, whereas you're almost reckless, and then tone it back just a little bit, whereas you understand what's going on and you're just not about to fall or hurt yourself or anything like that.
Right. And that's why I always enjoy going to like the outlaw matches, or going to the little training matches like we had over at Cambodia a while back. Those time plus outlaw scoring systems, they really allow you to find the limits of your speed. You kind of find where the exact point where you get out of control. So when you get into a USPSA match, you know exactly where that limit is. You can tone it back just a hair and ride that fine line.
Oh yeah. And of course, when we was going to those outlaw matches, that was one thing you did say. And I was just like, I don't know. But then when we actually did it, I was like, okay, I see what you're saying now, right? Because I don't really care what my performance is on an outlaw match because it's practice.
Right.
you
It's
know,
extra precedent. You're finding your speed limit.
right. And then of course, going to a USPSA match, you can open it up, but then you just need to know when to tone it down. You know what I'm saying? You can't be on fourth gear the whole time. Yeah.
But
So,
honestly, that was my mistakes early on. The first couple stages when I just made those mental errors. Like I said, I wasn't locked in,
mhm,
and I tried to make up for it with my speed because I am
right.
pretty naturally quick. And that if I don't tone it back, then I just kind of get out of control with it. And that's what happened on the first several stages. I let my brain get too far ahead, and then my body naturally wanted to speed up to try to catch up to it. And I got a little out of control, and it ended up costing me pretty bad.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. Whereas when something happens, and let's take stage one, for instance, I don't know why I decided to lock the slide back. And I think what it was, I saw somebody else do it.
You watched
And
me do it.
subconsciously, I did it. Right. That wasn't even in my plan. Right. And of course, when I picked it up, I went ahead and racked it. I was like, why isn't it? Oh, snap. And then I realized, okay, slide release. And then my original plan was on that first shot, take 3 shots at it. And I only took 2. But of course, I had the mic, because I hit 1 and then the second one didn't hit, you know.
Well, hey, that was a hard shot. So that first shot on that back target, you barely have a corner of it to shoot, and really with the lighting situation at the time we were at that stage,
Right.
I believe every person on our squad except for one had a miss on that back left target.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Just
think
because, like,
Jason was the only one that had 2 on it.
yeah, Jason's the only one that cleaned it. It's just because the target blended in with the dirt behind it. Like, hopefully you could see the pasters and shoot those.
That's what I was aiming at, really. I was aiming at the
Yeah.
Pacers because I couldn't see the target.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, that's it right there. So, and like I said, overall, it was a fun match, and I love charity matches like this. The outlaw aspect of it, okay, I'm hit or miss on that one because it was a little bit overboard on a couple stages, but some of the stages I was more like, okay, this is it, right? Because you already know how it is around here, whereas everybody talks smack to each other. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you want it to be as close to the rules as possible, whereas you don't want to throw in it. Well, it was an outlaw match, so technically it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, I just love the competitiveness amongst everybody for a great cause like Toys for Tots. So.
Yeah, man. So we went out to eat afterwards, and I mean, I saw.
Oh, the place I don't like to go, but go
Yeah,
for
the
it.
place
Go
you don't
for
like
it.
to go. Yeah, you ought to go, man. I mean, we had a crowd. There was probably, I mean, about 20, 25 of us from the match there afterwards.
Right.
It was a good time. But I mean, we had shooters from North Carolina down. We had shooters from all the way down in Savannah. Shooters from the upstate.
Right.
And just goes to show you, what a match like that, the kind of crowd you can draw with it. That was actually for a great cause. If I'm not mistaken, last year, the club just from the USPSA charity match drew $4,000 in cash donations and like 2
Right.
truckloads of toys. So it's always great to see a good charity getting backed up like that by our local club.
Oh yeah. I think Palmetto Gun Club, they were doing a Toys for Tots last year also. But I don't know about this year. But then again, like I said, that was one of their, like, okay, we're bringing because they was doing renovations also.
Right. Yeah. Palmetto Gun Club was closed down for almost 2 years.
Correct. Yeah. So, but I didn't hear anything about a Toys for Tots forum this year, because anything Toys for Tots, if it's something like that, a charity match or some such, I would try to make it. And
Yeah, well, and
put
it
stuff in
it takes a lot of coordination to hold a larger match like that. I know
Yeah.
Palmetto Gun Club, they're just getting started back up here recently, and they have a new match director, and Chad's been doing a great job down there.
Correct.
And they're just kind of building that back up. So once they get everything kind of back up to par to where they were before, that they'll start holding it again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So what's next for Ryan Lee?
What's next is probably baby season. But in the shooting world, like I was telling you at the match, I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break. It's kind of the end of the season. Was going to probably be one of my season ending matches. Take a couple months off, just make sure the house and everything's in good working order, and spend a little time with my daughter and my wife, and in preparation for the little one that's on the way.
Right.
But during that time, I'm going to really try to master that dot and carry optic. So when next season hits and we're back up and running in the spring, I know I'm working the South Carolina section. I'm planning on shooting Georgia State, North Carolina State, Area 6 next year.
Mhm.
So that when those get up in the swing of things, that I'm sitting up there where I need to be as far as my skill level goes. So I really want to kind of focus on. I've identified a lot of weaknesses, or not really weaknesses, deficits in my shooting game with a dot on the pistol over the last month or so that I've been shooting it. So I'm gonna work on those and just kind of get ready for next season.
That's it right there. Like I said, we all got stuff we need to work on. So of course, I'm gonna do the same thing, work on what I feel I need to push myself, because what was that, 3 or 4 months I was having those ammo malfunctions, and it messed me up big time.
Yeah, I can only imagine what you went through. It was hard to watch,
Man, oh man,
much
yeah.
less like having to shoot through it.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm glad to be back on track again, but um that time period, I think it kind of pushed me back a little bit also. So, I got to get back into the swing of things myself. So, and I'm going to use the next couple weeks to prepare. So I'm pick and choose my matches carefully, because of the fact, when it gets colder around here, a lot of people shoot a little bit later, and depending on what's on my calendar is the matches I can get,
Right.
because I've always said the Toys for Tots match is my favorite match of the year, but it's also the last match of the year for me as far as everything that I work for during that year.
Right.
So but yeah, so I'm going to take this off season, and I would say from now until January to mentally prepare, physically prepare, get back in decent shape and everything, and then open up the season with what Florida, I think they do a sectional in Florida. That's the first match of the season, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I also have a introduction to competitive shooting class that I'm teaching. It's run and gun competition fundamentals.
Mhm.
It's Carolina Tactical Training is the one hosting it. We're actually shooting the shooting portion at Sandhills,
Nice.
which, speaking with Shara down there, they should be opening Sandhills for USPSA matches at the beginning of the year as well. So that's another local match that we'll have.
Right.
And for a lot of people that stay busy on Saturdays, the good thing about Sandhills is they usually hold their matches on Sundays.
Right.
So that helps a lot of people out with that.
Yes.
But yeah, so anybody that's listening, if you're excited and want to get into this sport of competitive shooting, come on out, take a class with us. It really is meant for people that are coming into the sport, and I really enjoy getting more people to come out and shoot. But as you saw, like Tyler was there with us this weekend.
Mhm.
He didn't know any of the rules, what kind of gear there was, how the stages were set up, how a match was run, how to sign up. And he had all these questions, and he come and hung out all day and watched us. And it's really for people like that. So you come and you're prepared for your very first match when you step up, that you don't have, 1,000 questions.
Right.
So looking forward to getting that going and getting some new people introduced into the sport of competitive shooting.
All right. Yeah. So now, how can people reach out to you if they want to go ahead and take that course with you all? And how can everybody follow you on social media to get in contact with you for other aspects of shooting as well?
So if you're looking for any of our courses, it's actually on carolinatacticaltraining.com. You can find all of our courses listed there, from our CWP courses. We have our run and gun competition fundamentals. We have advanced handgun classes, advanced carbine classes, both CQB defensive, as well as long range classes. We do private instructing as well if anybody wants some one-on-one instructing. And it can all be found there through the site. And we also have a lot of other helpful links for new shooters and people wanting to kind of advance in their skill level on the website. And then if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at RyanJ1022. Of course, I'm on Facebook. You'll see me usually post up videos after my matches. And if you want to get in touch with me directly, you can actually just call the number on Carolina Tactical Training and request to speak with me, and they can forward you right over to me.
There you go, right there. So go give my man Ryan Lee a follow and check out their training courses that they're offering, especially if you want to get into competition shooting. And it's something that is fun, but I've always said for everybody who's saying they're getting a firearm for protection, competition shooting might be that little bit of extra practice that, it can show you the gaps, what you're dealing with in a real life situation as well.
That's what actually got me into competitive shooting is, hey, it's gonna push my skill level past where I'm comfortable and shows me how I react in stressful situations and shooting in unorthodox positions, and shooting on barriers and stuff. And that's really what got me into it.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do a petition next year that these ports do not need to be lowered in 3 feet, because on day 2 or 3, whatever one.
Yeah.
That was a serious lean for me right there.
Yeah, actually run into that one. It's like I was like, there's no way I'm just gonna try to duck down there and do it. And I actually ran into that position and dropped to a knee and shot those 4 targets back there.
I came into it 2 steps, but luckily when I did it, I timed it just right. Whereas I just had my legs open enough, whereas it kept me low. It was no strain on my knees, on my back or anything. And I actually seen it, but I actually took that one target moving into it, coming low like that.
Right.
But it was still a lean that was too much unnecessary. So I'm going to do a petition about that. Us tall guys need to stick together.
I'll be your first guy to sign it, man. Let's get rid of the low ports.
That's it right there. Well, I do appreciate you coming on to the M-W Tactical Podcast. And you already know, anytime you want to come on to the show, all you got to do is send me a text or a phone call and you are there.
Absolutely, Mike. I really enjoyed it.
Hey, that's it right there. So if everybody will, please stay in your seats. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with outdoor.dynamics. And we're always here for you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
I'm Jason Pratt, Masterclass USPSA shooter, owner of Brass Monkey Bullets. If you're interested in competition bullets, visit www.brassmonkeybulletsllc.com or call me at 423-967-1063. For more information, my email is brassmonkeybulletsllc@gmail.com. Thank you.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us on the M-W Tactical Podcast. Remember, a new podcast comes out every Tuesday. If you can't wait for Tuesday, go listen to past episodes to catch up on what you missed. Make sure you visit www.m-wtactical.com and see what all is offered on the site, where you can even purchase M-W Tactical apparel. But please, go to our Facebook and Instagram page and follow us on our journey in the sport of competition shooting and the realm of the 2A community. Until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun.